This guy graduated from Harvard Law School at age 22. And as far as I know, the youngest ever to do that. So congratulations. I have to say that, at age 22, I had a pretty good paper route going. So, I understand that success at a young level. Let me start with you, Neama. Thoughts on this case and where we are and where it's going?
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for the kind words. Glad to be on with you. Always great seeing Christa as well. Very, very difficult case for the defense. I mean, you have admissions. You have two folks that were shot that are identifying their assailant. You have a neighbor. You have these bad admissions via Facebook Messenger. You have a phone call to a neighbor. So, I'm not surprised that, this defendant originally wanted to plead guilty by reason of mental defect or what we call insanity, withdrew that plea. This is essentially a slow guilty plea. He's trying to put forth some self-defense type argument, not going to fly with his jury. We'll probably have this case wrapped up in 3 days, and I expect the jury to return a verdict in less than 3 hours. You got to come up with something. I mean, the defense reserved opening here, so it's tough to see what their story is here. They're probably going to wait to see how the evidence plays out, but they have focused on Rebecca's firearm, the bullets that may have been missing in that firearm. Again, bit of a stretch, but I think that's the only argument. You got to somehow place a firearm in Rebecca's hand, somehow convince one or two of these jurors that there's enough reasonable doubt there that Josh was acting in self-defense. Unfortunately, it's contradicted by the facts and the fact that Rebecca apparently said, "Josh, what the expletive are you doing?" when he arrived on the scene with a firearm.
Okay, so we have yet another witness queuing up there. Hey, Neama, how do you like that whole ballistics discussion, suggesting that, there's a 38, there's a 38. You might get confused which weapon it is and the bullets and how that all works.
I didn't like it for the defense, Michael. First, it contradicts their self-defense argument. They go in a couple different directions. First saying that, Joshua acted in self-defense. Now they're saying that, possibly those bullets were fired from another firearm. Second, the defense attorney was really going toe-to-toe with a witness, Heather Williams, who I really liked. I thought she was fantastic for the prosecution. She really knew what she was doing. And normally with expert witnesses, at least, I like to get in and get out really quickly, maybe score a couple points, but he really tried to argue that, there was a wide range of firearms that could have had these really distinguishing characteristics, and I don't think it really went well for the defense there.
Yeah, obviously their goal was to suggest that the gun we know was owned by Rebecca, also a 38, might have been involved in that gunplay that night. Boy, I'll tell you, that is a lot of numbers and a lot of calls unanswered. This was up to and including the night of the incident, August 4th. This is the defendant calling his ex-girlfriend, Rebecca, and she is not answering. So he shows up at the scene where they're working on a car, says, "Hey, boo, what's going on?" and then starts firing. Hey, Neama, before we wrap things up here, let me get your take on the defense. We're going to hear their opening, probably first thing tomorrow. How does that go?
I mean, they have to come up with something, and it's got to be self-defense, Michael. As you've pointed out, there's really no other way to argue this case. With this particular witness, I liked the cell site, cell ping technology. That's something that the jurors love to hear. That type of expert witness testimony, and then of course the history of violence and the stalking, and really an ex-boyfriend who was obsessed with Rebecca. So tomorrow will be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be a very challenging case for the reasons that you, Christa, and I have discussed. I can't see this going any other way but self-defense. So we'll see how they can possibly argue that tomorrow morning. It's going to be interesting to see what evidence, if any, that they present, if at all, after making that opening statement.
And the guy comes across just obsessed, and maybe he takes the stand because what the heck, why not? Neama Rahmani, thank you, buddy, for being here. I appreciate you having your maiden voyage with me here, and I'm sure we'll have you back on the show. Appreciate it. Take care.
Michael, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the next one.
You bet.